Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Phatkat Collections. Today, I got another security camera for your home, apartment, or business. And this is by the company that goes by the name of, it's Arenti, A-R-E-N-T-I. As far as name goes, compared to a lot of the brands I review, not too bad, right? Not too over the top, but you know, again, a brand that doesn't have a lot of brand recognition, and usually companies like this will send me a product for review to share with you guys in hopes that they might build a little bit of brand recognition. Now, of course, it's a little bit different when I review a security camera as opposed to a watch. A watch, you know, we have the check boxes, right? And we sort of have check boxes with cameras and smart home tech, but in all honesty, when it comes to reviewing watches, there's so much personality and subjectiveness when it comes to those types of products, right? You either like the way something smells or you don't. You either like the way a watch looks or you don't. We can only go, the checkboxes only mean so much if you don't actually like the cosmetics behind something. If you can't see it on your wrist or on your body, you're not going to buy it, right? With a camera, it's a little bit different because a lot of these are very similar. So what I'm going to do is just kind of do a basic unboxing. Give you guys the link where you can pick this up. As always, those are in the description and in the comment section. And give you guys kind of like the going price if you buy it directly from Arenti. They also most likely have this on Amazon, which I always recommend Amazon just because, you know, you have a little bit more, I think, ease of return if you don't like something, right? So what do you get with this? These are all very similar. You know, usually smart home security cameras are either going to be white or black. I've never seen anybody really come up with different colors, and I think that that's kind of an untapped market for companies to maybe start producing cameras that might come in different colors, maybe a beige, maybe a brown, maybe, I don't know, kind of pick maybe the 5 most common house colors, and then maybe make cameras around that. Of course, you could always customize something like this, and if you're handy with a spray paint can and masking, you can mask it to make it blend in. Or you can always paint this bright orange or red if you really want it to stand out. Again, it just depends. You might live in a situation where you want your camera to be super noticeable. As a deterrent, you also might want to have it more discreet and maybe not so in your face, right? Totally depends. Right now, there is a deal going on these directly on the website for $59. So pretty amazing. I remember cameras like this, if we go back 3 years, were extremely expensive. So nowadays, cameras are everywhere. Like I said, I reviewed a lot of them, and unfortunately, a lot of times the cameras and kind of the time frame when I do these videos, I just don't have the time to put this to a 6 months test before I do a video review of it and then take the camera down to show you. Generally, these kinds of things are unboxing videos. So I give you the basics, and you make an educated decision on whether you want to add it to your home. And ultimately, we only really know about the performance on these things until after you've had them installed for a while. So what I normally do is I come back to the comment section or the description years down the road, maybe 6 months down the road, just depends. And usually no news is good news. I will tell you though, one common problem I see with all cameras that I have reviewed is that the notification part of it, you know, you either get a lot of false notifications or you just get notifications that are you know, either the camera's too sensitive or not sensitive enough. I have cameras that I've reviewed that never get notifications, and other cameras that are just constantly going off even when you've blocked out the section. A perfect example of that is Reolink. I am a huge fan of Reolink cams, but they're like 4 times the price of this, and at the end of the day, they really do the same thing. And at the end of the day, even when you have the ability on a lot of these cameras to kind of block out a called sort of like a image masking. It's not really something you do too much on a pan tilt version because you are moving this around. So, but it allows you to kind of shade out areas you don't want detection. Perfect example is like one of my cameras is pointed at my driveway. I kind of want to block out the street because I don't want to get notifications every time a car goes by. Still get notifications. So again, totally depends on the camera, and I will come back. My point is I will come back and let you guys know how this performs at a later date. All right, so what do you get with this? So this camera has a built-in battery. It is a pan tilt zoom, and it does have the solar panel. Let's kind of open it up here, and I'll give you guys my 2 cents on, you know, what I think, and of course give you guys the specs. And then, like always, remember these videos, a lot of these videos that I do with products like this, a lot of the things that people subscribe to me about kind of overlap, right? If you're a person who really likes cologne, leather jackets, and watches, cars, that kind of stuff, you might see this video and say, you know what, I've been wanting to get a security camera, and this got recommended to you because you subscribed to my channel. So a lot of these things, again, the demographic is what's important for companies. And again, if you have nice stuff, I think it's good peace of mind to be able to add layers of protection. And I talk about layers of protection. This is kind of a, well, I need layers of box opening. What the layers of protection is kind of something that they use in kind of like security protocol, right? Yeah, man, they really seal the sucker up. Lots of layers on this. And so you just don't want to depend on one thing to protect really anything. That might be people, that might be cargo, that might be you know, a client, or in this case, your home, right, or apartment or business. So generally, you want to layer your security. That might be a security camera in combination with a motion detector. That might also be in combination with some sort of security lighting. That might be in combination with an alarm system. That might be in combination with a pet, a dog. That might be in combination with a neighbor and a neighborhood watch. These kinds of things are important for layering your security. It might also be, like what I like to do is have different brands of cameras. So if one server goes down with a camera, you might have a backup. So just kind of things to kind of keep in mind. So let's open it up. So this is kind of standard with cameras like this at this price point. We get the solar panel. This is a rather large solar panel. Most of the solar panels that I've reviewed in cameras are half the size of this. So interesting, they added a huge solar panel. Pros and cons, right? Very noticeable. You gotta put this on the side of your house. You know, these aren't always the nicest cosmetic looking things, so that you are gonna notice them, right? But remember that this solar panel does have a long cord. I'm gonna guesstimate here because I don't think they mentioned it. I think the cord is about, standard is usually about 10 feet. So just kind of keep that in mind. I'm not going to unravel it for purpose of the video, but you can always buy, and it is USB-C, which is great. You can buy USB-C couplers and add an extension to this if you want to mount this kind of out of place. And what I do with something like this, let me show you the camera first, all right? So nice big solar panel, going to get a lot of juice to the camera, especially if you live in an area that doesn't get a lot of sun. Moving further into the box, we have kind of a bracket for the solar panel, and then a lot of foam here. We have the base for the solar panel. So how this works is basically, you basically unscrew this large nut, you pop the arm with this kind of like almost like a ball joint swivel into this. And then, of course, this gives you the ability to kind of rotate the cam and kind of, you know, this is, I'm not going to insult your intelligence. You all seen stuff like this. It gives you the ability to adjust the solar panel. And you want to kind of have this, I would say, pointed to the south. Again, it depends on where you live. Usually solar panels, when installed on a house, if it's like to power the home, are put on the south. It depends on your home. I always like to give critiques with stuff like this as well. Nice thing about having okay, so one, with the solar panel, if you are going to remotely mount this, right? And what I mean by that is you may not want the solar panel like they have pictured. When you click the link, you'll see they mount it in every picture right above the camera. That adds for a very large appearance of this thing, right? By the time you go putting the camera on the side of the house, the antenna is sticking up, which you'll see in a second. Solar panel, it is this big thing. It may not be something that you cosmetically like. What I like to do with these is mount the camera in such a spot where I can kind of maybe bring the solar panel around a different side of the house and just kind of mount that kind of away from the camera. Totally depends on your home, but I would like to see an improvement on the length of these cords. Now, the other downside to stuff like this is, let's say you don't mind mounting the camera directly over, or mounting the solar panel directly over the camera. Now you have all this cord to contend with. So I've yet to see a camera company that has some sort of cord management. It would be nice if they had something where they give you maybe a very small, 2-foot section of cord, and then maybe a coupler built right in, a weatherproof coupler. Or if you were to make, my advice was make the cord really long, maybe give 15, 20 feet. But then, of course, if you don't use it, you're going to have this huge cord to deal with. So one way or another, cord management is really important, I think, with these things. What I kind of like to do sometimes is kind of loop it and tuck it behind the gutter if I don't need all that extra length. But it would be nice to see if they put some sort of, maybe some kind of base on this that has the ability to wrap the cord around, and this way you can kind of adjust the length of the cord. I keep mentioning it in almost every video review I do for solar cameras. Nobody seems to be too concerned with making that change. So maybe eventually these companies will listen, because when I'm shopping for a camera, I want it to work well, of course, but I want it to be cosmetically nice looking, right? You don't want it to look half-assed on your house. So this, again, big panel, you want to put this somewhere. I would almost like to see the ability for companies, I'm sure you could buy this aftermarket, but when you buy something, you want it to be all in one, right? Even if they charge $10 more. It'd be nice to see something like a gutter attachment would be nice, maybe a strap of some sort, or something that clips on the top, or I'm sorry, downspout attachment, or clips on the top of the gutter to kind of get this up and out of sight. Again, these are just small gripes, you know, just ideas for the company. And then of course we have the camera, and this is very standard. Almost like you've seen one, you've seen them all. We have, what is this? What do they give you here? I'm not sure what this is actually. Let me pop this open here. Appears to be another cord of some sort. Yeah, so odd. So they also give you, again, some screws, anchors. They give you another USB-C cord with a USB cable on it. And so the idea in this is that if you're not going to use a solar panel, you can plug this directly in, or you can charge the device with it. Again, that's really nice they give you that, but the idea in this is to mount this somewhere that you're not going to have to take it down to charge it. You want the solar panel to charge it. So this is really kind of pointless, has no purpose. Maybe to plug it in to kind of get it started in your home maybe, but even if you are going to use this somewhere outside, this is way too short, and this is not an outdoor USB connection. So again, they didn't give you the USB wall adapter, so kind of a pointless addition, but they include it. And here's the camera. So again, kind of standard style camera, pan, tilt, zoom style, rotates, articulation, 2 antennas. As far as the wall mount bracket, let's see how that works. Because I'm just not, all right, so this mounts from the top. So this basically pops onto the top like so. And once you, I'm not going to clip it on here because I'm going to have to take it off to put it well. Kind of like that, right? So you'll mount this on the side of your house. Another suggestion for these companies is that not all the time is somebody going to be able to attach this to their house. They might have brick. They may not want to drill into their brick. I would like to see something on this that allows you to mount this. For instance, if they would have put another one of these recessions right here on the back, you could have mounted this like so. This way you could have top mounted this. So rather than having to build a bracket of some sort, which is, I may put this one at my parents' house, and I'm going to have to build something, the reason I mentioned that. So it's nice if companies would think about the mounting solutions before making products. This would have been very easy to install something on the back here that allowed you to put this bracket either way, right? You know, that would have been really cool to be able to do that. This way I would have been like, all right, I can mount this on the underneath the soffit, top mounted, right? That would have been fantastic, but they didn't. So maybe next time when they pay attention, companies, when they recreate this camera, they'll do something like that. What else? They have the power port for this, where you plug in the solar panel underneath on the side here. And let me just see what that looks like. This looks like 5-volt DC. And again, we have that weatherproof cover or weather-resistant cover. What's the point? You're going to be plugging the power cord into it. So not really weather-resistant, but you are going to, you know, generally where you mount these, they are going to be protected by an overhang. What some people do is they'll mount the solar panel over the top, and this kind of like gives it an element of protection. What I would have liked to have seen is, for people who are going to do that, is include a short cord that would basically allow you to mount this right on top. And then, you know, having the antennas up is not really a priority with this. You could point them down. And what I think would be pretty cool is have this mount here be like the ability to mount not just the camera, like so, if you're going to wall mount this, but let's say you are going to, I don't know, it would be kind of cool to have this maybe not necessarily be just a top mount for this, but let's say some kind of bracket that allowed you to mount. You have to kind of get a little creative in the design, but maybe if somebody was going to wall mount this on the side, you have the ability to not just mount it like this and attach to your house, but maybe something along the lines of, you have to have a different, maybe a second bracket that allowed you to use the other bracket and then attach the solar panel directly on top of the camera, and then you'd have one nice, neat device you mount all in one. I do have a camera I reviewed years ago on the front of my house that has a solar panel attached. So you basically just pop that sucker on. It's a nice, neat, simple application. It looks good, whereas this, you're going to have wires. You got to kind of contend with what you do with the wires. You'll probably have to wrap them around. If you are handy, and that's why I recommend mounting this, move the solar panel somewhere away from the camera if you want it to look nice, and kind of tack it up there. Use some staples or wire clips of some sort. You just have to get kind of creative. But overall, this is pretty standard across the board with what you get in a camera at this price point. You do have the ability to add a USB, a micro SD card on the bottom, and this is probably where your reset button is underneath. Yeah, so reset, power, you could turn it off. Another thing that we'll find out at a later date is, and I hope this company has this ability in their app, it's a real pet peeve of mine when companies don't put a power cycle function in the app. So let's say you're gonna, and everything that's smart that's connected to Wi-Fi at some point needs to be power cycled. And so I have cameras that are mounted where in order for me to power cycle them, I got to pull up the ladder, climb up there, and power cycle it. Other cameras I have, you can remotely power cycle it. So we'll find out if that has that, and I will update that information down the road. Probably summertime, to be honest with you. It doesn't really help for folks that are looking to buy this now. Remember, if you buy it through Amazon, if it doesn't have that, you can usually return it. So, all right, so that's really about it with the camera. Pretty straightforward. Let's talk about the features now. So this is directly off their website. It has pet, person, package, and vehicle detection. I'm curious to see how well the package detection works and how it can differentiate between, I would think you're going to get a personal alarm first and then maybe a notification after the fact that there's a packager. That would be really useful for a lot of people. How well does it work? We'll find out. Again, they just state wireless outdoor camera. We pretty much know that. 5200 milliamp rechargeable battery and solar panel. 2K 3 megapixel Ultra HD resolution. 360 degrees of pan tilt. That's a little misleading though, because this does have a stop. So if you want to go the other way, if you pan tilt all the way to the left, and you want to go to the right, you can't just continue to go around 360 degrees. That's kind of misleading. You do get almost 360 degrees of rotation, but again, it's not. You don't really. You can be 350 degrees. You don't need to point behind the camera. You know what I mean? Unless you're mounting this somewhere that's, I don't know, almost like on top of a pole where you can spin all the way around. But I have yet to see a camera do that. SD card and cloud storage, real-time, two-way conversation, and it's got encryption. Other than that, that's about all it really says about the camera. They do show in their picture a really nice short cord. That's misleading because you are going to have to find a way to tuck this cord up into, like, wrap it around the solar panel base. You're just going to have to get a little creative with that. It says here, pet, person, vehicle, package detection. It says the front door detected packages, so it must detect objects that are square, probably with the algorithm. I know that some of the cameras I have are decent with detecting a pet, but sometimes I'll look and there's no pet there. Again, we're just going to have to come back to this. The other stuff's pretty standard. It has night vision technology. It says it has the ability to provide superior image quality even in low light conditions. And what they're showing here is like a night shot without the infrared lights on. I find the infrared lights, I don't know, you're looking at black and white. It's kind of nice to, when you look at an image at night, to see it in color as if you were standing right there, because there's always a little bit of ambient light. So depending on the CMOS sensor in this, it will determine how well it works. It has a 4x optical digital zoom, and again, it has that motion detection. Looks like, based on their information on their site, has the ability to personalize the detection zone. Now keep in mind that detection zone does change as you rotate the camera. So if you have this kind of pointed in a stationary spot at your front door and you want to have this camera, I don't know, one day on your driveway, that detection zone changes. So a lot of times I find detection zones not really too useful on a camera that is a pan tilt. And my recommendation to people, I know it looks like, hey, you know, I can get this camera 50 bucks, 60 bucks with pan tilt zoom, and they end up keeping it stationary. You can do that, but I think a better option is check out one of their other cameras that does not have the pan tilt zoom. If you're just going to keep the camera stationary, there's really no point having that. Which brings me to my next gripe with cameras like this. They're always mounted on a flat surface. I'd like to see the company create a mounting bracket that allows you to corner mount this, because that's what this is really designed to be used for. If you look at pan tilt zoom cameras, they're either in the ceiling pointing down and you can pan tilt and zoom around that whole area underneath you, or they're mounted on the corner of a building, right? Again, if you're mounting it somewhere like in the middle of a building, you know, of course you can pan tilt all the way back and look at both angles, but I'd like to see them include a corner bracket. I've yet to see a company, no matter how many times I've mentioned that, include a corner bracket. And even if they didn't change the way this mounts, which I think they should, and use my recommendations, even having something like this with maybe an adapter on the back, you know, you could always build something, absolutely, but I'd like to see something that allowed you to corner mount this with ease, including the packaging that allow you to put 2 screws on each side and mount this in a corner. Then you can really utilize that whole pan tilt system. It is something on my own home that I've been meaning to build, because my cameras, they're looking one way, and if I turn too far, I can't get around the side of the building. The good thing is this does come out far enough, so if you do mount this kind of close to the corner on one side, you most likely will be able to see around the corner, but I think it would just look neater having it directly on the corner. So that's really about it. Those are my only gripes, and you know, but overall, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. Time will tell based on, you know, how this works. It does have an element of IP65 weather proofing. I like to call that weather resistance. And has the ability to work with the Google Assistant or the Amazon Assistant, where you can ask it, hey, show me this camera, and it'll show you that on an Echo Show or on a TV or whatnot. So kind of cool. I mean, the price point of these is pretty incredible. They've come down so much, and you really do get a lot of bang for your buck, despite some of the small gripes that I have. I like these kind of cameras that are solar. If you live in an area that doesn't get a lot of sun, these cameras have come a really long way at really being able to charge the camera even with on a cloudy day. I have one in the front of my house. It's always on a full charge, which brings me to, I don't think you need a solar panel this large. I'd like to see companies also maybe start making a solar panel that charges the camera based on its needs, not necessarily based on that the idea that more is better. Because again, in the wintertime, most places don't get a lot of sun, depending on where you live, tons of sunlight. And one of my cameras is in the north side of the house, and it doesn't hardly get any sunlight ever, even in the summer. And even that indirect light, it's always at 100% charge. So, and the solar panel is half the size of this. So again, that's beyond my skill set, but just a couple things for the company to think about when they're producing these. But overall, pretty cool, great price point. And if I can help you guys in any way, drop me a comment, drop me an email. I'm always here to help. Links are in the description. Have a fantastic day, folks, and take care.